What's up, YouTube? This is True Raw for TV. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question, right? The Lakers right now are 500, right? And if you look at their upcoming schedule for the rest of the season, majority of their games are going to be on the road. They had the easiest schedule in the history of the NBA handed to them, and they couldn't take advantage of that shit. And starting this month, and in particular in January, they're going to have a much more hectic and frantic schedule. In January, late January, they're gonna have a 6 game road trip. And that motherfucker is gonna be brutal. That's gonna be a brutal fucking time. I'm telling you, man, mark your calendars for late January because it's gonna get hectic for Laker fans around that time, man. They're gonna be them players gonna need security at that point. They're gonna need security from their own fans at that point, in my opinion. But let me ask this question. Because of the sheer brutality of their upcoming schedule, right? In my opinion, I think the Lakers are going to finish with a sub 500 record, which probably will disqualify them from the playoffs. If that happens, would you consider the LeBron era in LA a failure? And in my opinion, I would have to say, considering the expectations, yes. Yes. And I know people are like, what the fuck do you mean? They won a title. When you go to LA, one championship is not enough. One championship is not enough. Think about it like this: the West, Goodrich, Chamberlain, Baylor era, right? That whole team. They won a championship in 1972. But many Laker fans still consider that team as underachieving. They lost in the finals in 69, they lost in 70, and they lost in 73. Now you can blame age by 1973, but 69 and 70, you know what I'm saying? And Willis Reed got hurt in 70, and they still lost that series. Kobe won 5 as a Laker. Shaq won 3. Magic won 5. Kareem won 5 of his 6 rings as a Laker. James Worthy won, I believe it's 3 titles. Lakers Nation is used to dynasties or multiple championships. When you come and to a franchise like LA and there's all these expectations and remember LeBron was losing to that Warriors team, so uh, everybody expected him to come to LA and build this dynasty team that's going to be, that's going to change the whole culture of the LA Lakers. He's supposed to change the culture back to what it was before. And let's look at the record. He gets there. They give away a lot of talent. The first year, that's supposed to be a run through, but the media said, "Oh no, this team can win a championship now." They didn't, obviously. He gets hurt that year. He misses altogether 27 games. They don't make the playoffs, only win 35 games. They completely rehauled the roster via the trade for AD, then some other free agent signings, and then they win a championship. But a lot of people will always stigmatize that one as the bubble title. They didn't have to go on the road, didn't have the pressure of a home crowd rooting against you. You know, all you had was you played in the same damn gym. You had monitors on the wall. It was quiet like fucking practice. You know, when you watch the games on TV, you can hear the players' sneakers squeaking and shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't usually hear that shit. It's like playing in the gym. Uh, practicing and shit. Not hearing the crowd. I mean, come on. I mean, it wasn't the same normal situation. But they won a title. Okay, they won a title. LeBron fans were ejaculating all over the place. Laker Nation was, yeah, yeah, yeah. Next year was a disappointment. They started off great. LeBron's still starting. He's beginning to really show his age. He gets hurt. After he comes back, he looks old. AD gets hurt. Now you starting to notice that AD isn't as committed. He looks more listless. Then you really starting to pick up on the fact that this dude always complaining about being hurt all the fucking time. And they get embarrassed in the first round by the Phoenix Suns. AD doesn't play because his pussy is aching him. LeBron looks fucking old and slow and worn out. Then this year, they get Westbrook. They get rid of some other players that weren't playing well or weren't being used properly by Frank Vogel, like fucking Montrezl Harrell. All for Russell Westbrook, who's an aging guard, who, even though I like Russell Westbrook, I will admit that he's a stat pattern. Okay, yeah, he plays hard, but he's too boneheaded to be the point guard. He doesn't fit playing with LeBron James, but they get him any fucking way, which I believe is for ulterior reasons any fucking way, but it is what it is. They get Carmelo Anthony, who can still score, but he was never a defensive stopper. AD's supposed to come in this season the best shape of his life and committed and all, saying all the right shit, but we see all that shit. We see through that bullshit. And LeBron is just even older. LeBron is even older, conserving himself, only concerned about the scoring title. Okay? So you got AD, who too fucking afraid to play the center position, excuse me. You got LeBron and Russell Westbrook, who only care about their stats. Carmelo, who, I mean, he's a great scorer, but he is a defensive liability at times. Their bench is in it. Look, man, when they were signing players, it was like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? You're getting Trevor Ariza. How old is he? He's still playing? So that's missed the playoffs, win the title, exit the first round, and likely miss the playoffs again this year. For Lakers Nation, that's a failure. That's an absolute fucking failure from Lakers Nation, in my opinion. That's not now. If this was like the Grizzlies or something, yeah, you could live with that. That's a championship. Lakers Nation, it's a failure, unmitigated failure, and that is probably why. And I think Ticket pointed this out. That's probably why you're starting to see a lot of Laker legends. They kind of they're voicing their frustrations, and it's coming out. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to hide it, but it's coming out in other ways. You know, and the way they're conducting themselves out there on the court. You got all these players who supposedly look. You got LeBron James, who most people see as a top 4 or 5 all-time player. His fans say that he's the GOAT. Carmelo, I mean, he's top 60-ish, top 75. Russell Westbrook, top 75. AD somehow fucking us on the top 75 list. You got all this talent, but you're losing. I mean, these motherfuckers lost to the Thunder twice. The same team that lost by 73 fucking points the other day to the Grizzlies, who didn't have Ja Morant. They lost to the Houston Rockets this season. A horrible team. Then there's another game they almost blew a 20-point lead to Houston again. They lost to all these fucking cupcake teams. Yeah, it's a failure, man. It's an absolute failure, in my opinion, when you look at the entirety of the whole picture. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think.